It was the 1st of September 2004. For many of these kids, it was their first day of school. What started out as a day of great joy and excitement ended as one of the worst hostage tragedies in human history.
Inside this gymnasium, more than 1,200 hostages were crowded together with explosives suspended above their heads.
3 days later, over 300 hostages were killed, including 156 children. The terrorists were Muslims, and they carried out the attacks in the name of Islam. I'm also a Muslim, and I've dedicated my life to fighting the threat of radical Islam.
How you doing?
Fine.
Images demonstrate mild inferior fixed defects in the inferior right.
My name is Zudi Jasser. I'm a doctor currently in private practice in Phoenix, Arizona. I was a lieutenant commander in the U.S. Navy, and I served as a staff physician to members of the U.S. Congress and the Supreme Court.
Thank you so much for coming.
As a devout Muslim, I saw it as my responsibility to expose the radicals. I resented that they were exploiting the religion I love.
If you listen to bin Laden, he is not a nutcase as many Muslims will want you to believe. He is a fascistic theocrat, period.
After 9/11, I started looking into what was driving radical Islam. I came across an alarming document that reveals the true agenda of much of the Muslim leadership here in America. It didn't take long after 9/11 until it was revealed that Muslims were behind the attacks.
فهؤلاء الشباب قاموا بعمل عظيم جدا، بعمل جليل، وأعطوا أمريكا درسا لن تنساه بإذن الله سبحانه وتعالى.
I had expected to see Muslims in America taking to the streets and protesting against bin Laden. Instead, in the years that followed, we saw many Muslim leaders standing up to defend or support the radicals.
Stop calling them suicide bombers.
They are not suicide bombers, they are heroes.
And it's about time that we have an intifada in this country that changes fundamentally the political dynamics in here.
So I formed my own organization, and I protested.
Where are the Muslims? Where are they in speaking out and condemning terrorism?
Local Muslim leaders refused to participate in the rally. In fact, shortly afterwards, I was outcast by the Islamic leadership across the country, and there was even a cartoon published in a Muslim newspaper that portrayed me as a dog cannibalizing a religious leader. It wasn't until I saw this document written in America by American Muslims that I understood what was really going on, a strategy to infiltrate and dominate America. We all know about terrorism. This is the war you don't know about.
I think there is a general tendency to underestimate the threat which is offered to us in the present global conflict.
I think the public in America is denied the strategic truth. Media and elite are not helping.
The vast majority of Americans no longer are falling for the trick of the bad terrorists who are out there to get us.
They are framing the debate as Iraq, or as Afghanistan, or as Guantanamo Bay. They're not showing the public the big picture.
جهاد ابتدائي معناه غزو العالم من أجل نشر كلمة لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله في ربوع العالم.
I think the New York City Muslim Day Parade is a perfect microcosm of Muslim representation in America. You had a majority of Muslims that were of all races, creeds, and heritage that were celebrating their country and were clearly proud of being American.
I live in America, I work in America, I sleep in America, I was born in America. I love this country.
But unfortunately, there are also those Muslims that hold more radical views.
Islam will dominate. That's what it will be.
These groups are not Al-Qaeda, they're not Hamas, they're not Hezbollah, and most of them are nonviolent. But they still want to replace American law with their version of Sharia, Islamic law.
We want to see Sharia here, and it will be. The flag of La ilaha illallah, Muhammad Rasulullah, will be, inshallah, in the White House if that's what we choose to be. It just takes time. The American people are waking up now.
Allah does say that the whole world eventually will be under His ruling. The world will come down to where everybody obeys the laws of God. Simple as that.
When groups like these talk about wanting to create a global Islamic state and Islam dominating the world, you realize that they hold some of the same goals as Al-Qaeda and millions of radicals around the world. And that's what makes them dangerous.
There's no compulsion in Islam. That means we can't force it on you. But we will force Islamic Sharia, inshallah.
Islam is the fastest growing religion in the world. There are over 1.3 billion adherents, and it's also thought to be the fastest growing religion in America. One of the most common questions I get when I speak to audiences around the country is, what % of Muslims in America are radical? And the Pew poll in 2007 actually provided some staggering numbers about that.
In a hair-raising number, the Pew Research Center reports on a new poll that as many as 1 in 4 young American Muslims condone suicide bombings against civilians, at least sometimes.
Nearly 25% of Muslims, 25 under 30, found suicide bombings to defend their religion as acceptable.
So you're talking about just about 200,000 folks who believe in suicide bombing. What do you make of this, Steve?
Well, I think the numbers are absolutely frightening. Unfortunately, the mainstream, in quotes, American Muslim leadership has been in denial.
What's happening? Where's the disconnect? What's the influence there?
The influence is basically political Islam, which is you have sermons that are not being given about the love of God. They're hearing about every plight to blame the West. And in exchange, they have nothing to offer other than hate.
As we move further and further away from September 11, 2001, as we remain safe during that period, there are going to be an increasing number of people who either don't see the threat as clearly, or their psychological makeup is going to want them to wish it away.
It is definitely here. I don't want to overstate the problem, but there is a danger of understating the problem of homegrown Islamist terrorism. And the fact is, we have now had a series of cases that have thankfully been broken.
But yes, 7 people have been arrested in the Miami area. Officials say the plotters were in the early stages of planning an attack on the Sears Tower in Chicago.
They hoped for their attacks to be, quote, just as good or greater than 9/11.
Police arrested 6 men and charged them with planning to attack the Fort Dix Army base.
This is a new kind of terrorism. It is not only coming from outside the